Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Good evening, Lola. We're just going to wait for people to join in. Yvonne, hi. You are welcome. Can you guys hear my music? Are you enjoying it? You're welcome. This is Conversations with Pimo. Please comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from, where you're joining in from. Yes, I'm excited to have you here, Faith. Good evening. You are welcome. This is Conversations with Pimo. I'm just going to enjoy this music for about a minute or two while you guys, tag your friends, send out the reminder, say hello, hi. Let me know where you're calling in or where you're joining in from. Good evening. This song does me something. I don't know. And I honestly don't even understand what they're saying. But I know she's praising God. And I can hear hallelujah. Come on, people. Hello, this is Conversations with Pimo. Credits to Judy K. Hallelujah. Hi. If you can hear me, do a thumbs up, do a hello, Pimo. Just one more minute. One more minute. You are welcome to Conversations with Pimo. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Pimo. And this is yours truly, Pimo. And I'm just so excited this evening, morning. I don't know, for those in America, possibly early afternoon. You are welcome. And I'm just excited. I don't know. This series has really been doing me something, as in just having people tell their story. It's so heartwarming, it's so humbling, and I believe that the last two episodes must have given people hope, must have encouraged some people. I mean, my guest last week, Atinuke Junaid, sorry, Atinuke Yakub, was sharing with us her story, her journey from I think she was how old? She was 17 or thereabout when her mom passed, and having to go through all of that with three younger ones, was homeless at some point, had to be sheltered by a neighbor that was so magnanimous. I mean, people have stories, people offering her money for sex, and so many things. And one thing I love so much about her story is the fact that God raised helpers along the way, and the fact that her service to God, I believe strongly paved way for her. Because what often happens most times is that people, because of what they're going through, they detach themselves from church, they detach themselves from God, because they feel like God has abandoned them, and God. But the truth is, he never promised us that we're not going to go through trials. What he did promise us is that he's going to be with us while we're going through the trial. That's what he did promise us. Remember Peter saying, Jesus, call me. I want to walk on water. And Jesus said, come, walk on water. And he started walking on the water. And then before you know what happened, he began to see the wind blowing boisterous. But the truth is, the wind had always been blowing even before he stepped out in faith on the water. But it's so amazing that God wasn't going to stop the wind for him. You remember, he was when he started sinking. The Bible says he looked and he saw the wind boisterous, and he started sinking. And he was shouting and crying to Jesus and said, "Deliver me, help me. Are you just going to watch me, sink and just perish like that?" But the truth is, the Bible says Jesus reached out his hand and grabbed him, but we didn't hear Jesus stopping the wind. And they made it to the boat. And like I was saying, some time ago, I don't know how far away they were from the boat. I don't know if Jesus carried Peter on his back to the boat after he grabbed him. I don't know if at the point of if he was sinking and the boat was nearby. Now this is my mind working, and I'm very imaginative. If he was sinking and the boat was just nearby, then I believe, don't forget, Peter was a fisherman, a professional fisherman. He should have just grabbed the boat. So I want to think that the boat wasn't exactly nearby. So when Jesus grabbed him, he probably walked back to the boat on water, or Jesus just dragged him along. But I'm too sure Jesus walked on water back to the boat. I don't know. It's not in the scripture. Maybe we're going to pray that the Holy Spirit will reveal that part to us, or we just wait till we get to heaven and we know what actually happened. What am I trying to say? God did not promise us that we're not going to go through trials. He said, I will be with you while you go through trials. And one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the story of the three Hebrew brothers. I think I've mentioned it here in this conversation at some point in time. Their story just never ceases to amaze me. They didn't say, Lord, quench the fire. They said, with or without it, we're still not going to deny Jesus. And the Bible says they went into the fire to tell you that God didn't do poo. Oh yeah, off the fire and then get into the fire. They got right into the fire to tell you how hot that fire was. Those who threw them in got burnt. I'm telling you, they got burnt. And the Bible says right there in the midst of the fire, I think that is my most, I don't know, I just love it. I like to imagine it. I picture it in my head. The Bible says they were walking freely. I mean, the king had to look through his screen and like, didn't we throw 3 men in there? I see 4 men walking. I mean, come on. They were just walking. And I think that is the testimony for us in sharing our stories. That is the testimony in going through. You will go through, but you will come out with a bigger testimony. I always tell people, Jesus could have healed Lazarus, but he chose to wait till he died so that the testimony, the story can be sweeter. And when you read that passage in John, the Bible tells us that after Lazarus was raised from the dead, the sisters and the family had another banquet for him, and Jesus was there. And the Bible says the people came not only to hear Jesus, but to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. I mean, Jesus has a lot of evangelical strategies, I'm telling you, in winning people to Christ, in speaking about, in being able to warm his way into their heart. And I think we can also learn from Jesus. Let us not be too boxed up and just feel like the only way to get to people is to preach you have to be saved or you are going to hellfire, or is to tell people that, come in that cloak of all looking all sanctimonious and all of that. No, your story is an evangelical tool. Your story can save a soul. Your story can liberate someone going through a hard time. I mean, your story can. The Bible says they came to see Lazarus. That was why they came. And in the process, you can be so sure Jesus will begin to speak to them, about salvation. He'd speak to them about, his kingdom, speak to them about God, and speak to them about the new thing that he's doing. So honestly, we are armed with our story. Never ever. I shared something that Maya Angelou, shared, and I put it up on my wall yesterday, that when you see someone who has buried in all the stories that he or she is supposed to share, then you see someone whose life is just there. You're not meant to bury it in. You're not meant to keep it in. Once you've gone through, God has helped you and you've come out. It is for you to share your story so that others can see and know what it is that God can do, with you and with what you're going through. Yeah, that is it. So yeah, our stories, powerful tool in our hands and in the hand of God. And today I have an amazing guest. We've had Irene Bangwell. She came and she was like, boom, told us about how she's never known her dad and she has never met him to date. I mean, this is someone 2 years short of 40 and she's never met her father, and she's living an amazing life. We had Atinuke share her story, and today we're hearing Raquel Daniel sharing her story. She's going to be sharing her story. I met Raquel, I think about 6 years ago now, 5-6 years ago, at a photo shoot, coincidentally, that Atinuke Junaid, why do I keep calling Atinuke Junaid? Atinuke Yakub, organized, and that was my first time. And I remember we drove down together from Yaba, I think, to Surulere, also to VI. I was living in Lekki at that time, and we had the most interesting conversation, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes journey. And I just got to know this amazing woman. And it's amazing that day was not even the day that I heard the full details of her story, until when I invited her to Leading Women Conference in Abuja, and she shared her story. I mean, we were all like this for over an hour. And I remember that day, the devil almost didn't make her come for that conference because she was down with measles. But we give God praise because she came that day, shared her story, and it's been amazing. Honestly, her story is one of hope, is one of God's faithfulness. It's a story that shows us that when God has picked you, has anointed you, has called you for a certain assignment, there's no devil on earth that can stand in your way. Yes, you will face trials. Yes, it will look like as if God is not on your side. But at the end of the day, when you look back, you would know and you would say, if it had not been for the Lord who had been on my side. I mean, that is the summary of Raquel's story. I'm just going to share her profile. But like I always say, profile doesn't exactly do justice to who this person is. And that's why in a few minutes, she's going to be coming up and we're just going to go right into it. So guys, get ready. Open your heart. Just be ready to receive, to hear, to be encouraged, to be inspired, and to be everything. So Raquel Kasham Daniel is a social entrepreneur, an educator working in poor and remote communities in Nigeria, focusing on education for children and sexual and reproductive health for adolescent girls through Beyond the Classroom Foundation. In 2015, she joined the Lagos Global Shaper of the World Economic and received the LEAP Africa Social Innovator Program Fellowship. She is a climate reality leader, a Walter Carrington Fellow, and a two-time mentor of the Queen's Young Leaders Program. I mean, she has done so well for her. So in as much as God is on her side, she has also been very tenacious with respect to the purpose of God over her life. Raquel has received numerous awards, including the 2021 Luther King Heroes Award, the Women of Impact Award 2021, the Women Achievers Award 2021, and in 2016, Honor Nigeria Community Development Award, and the 2014 Liroche Exemplary Leadership Award by His Excellency Mr. Kiwumi Ambode, former governor of Lagos State. Prior to starting the Changemakers Academy, she served as the admin lead at the Secretariat of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council in the Office of the Vice President. Raquel is also the author of 10 books, a lover of all things peanut butter, a wife, and an amazing mother. With Jesus joy and with a warm welcome, receive with me Raquel Daniel. Your mic is off.
I'm helping you clap. Good evening, Pimo. Good evening.
Beautiful
Good
you.
evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You can increase your mic a bit though.
Okay. I thought it was like the last. Let me say, well, this is like
Okay, that's
farthest
fine. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Is it loud enough? I'll
Yes,
just try to project.
Yes, it is. It is. I can hear you. I
Good
can
evening,
hear you.
Good
Good evening.
everyone.
So nice to have you on board.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Imagine that we haven't seen since when last we saw in Abuja, and thank God for social media and for WhatsApp. We still get to connect, you know, and all of that. And I was just sharing before you came on that I'd known you now about 5-6 years, and I remember our conversation all the way from I think Sulere Yaba to VI, the very first time we met, and it felt like we had known each other, you know, all these years, and it was such an interesting conversation. And I'm just excited to have you on Conversations with Pimo today. And thank you for honoring the invite.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And so we are all looking forward to hearing your story. You know, I'm a great advocate for people telling their stories. And I really want to salute you because there's so many people with even more intriguing stories than yours, but they haven't just found that voice. They haven't found that they've not gotten to that place where they can be free, you know, to share their story. Some are still healing, some still feel very detached from where they're coming from, you know. But I always say that everything about your life, your journey, it's just accumulating into a big story. And there's no part of your story, whether ugly, whether bad, whether mistakes, that is out of place in the grand agenda of what God is doing concerning anybody, you know. So, and that's why I love the scripture so much that says all things work together for the good of those who love him. So I believe that everything in our life works together. So I want to just hit it on straight. Raquel, I know I've shared a kind of summary of your story, and a few places I shared it, people are like, oh my God, wow. She's going to be married off and all of that. What is your story, Raquel? What is your story?
Okay, that question is a bit it's a bit difficult to say. But I don't know where to start from. Okay, so I'm going to start a little bit. I want to go back to one of the most as far as I can remember, most important things that lay foundation for who I am is that first my dad was a police officer, and so when I was growing up, you know, my father tried to shield us from living in the barracks. So he always wanted to get a job as an orderly to a rich man. You know how they put police officers to, because when they do that, most times they will give them houses to stay. Because then you and I always wonder why my dad always have to guard a rich man, you know. But then I never understood why he was doing that. And then he said he doesn't want to work in an office because we have to go to the barracks. I'm like, okay, what's in the barracks? I said he doesn't want us to live there. So, but that exposed us to a lot of books. So we get clothes from when the rich men, their kids travel, we get clothes. You know, when they travel, we get books. And so when I go to, let's say I go to police children's school, and then they wonder, how do you have all these fancy textbooks, how do you
Wow.
have these fancy sandals? But I didn't connect that
Mm.
part of my life to what my dad was doing. So it's a powerful for me. It was growing up later, I realized how powerful parenting was, how my dad took parenting very seriously. Even as much as he didn't have anything, he was conscious of the fact that he wanted to give us something that he felt that was important to us. And that
Right.
really helped us a lot growing up. So, but then one day, he has stayed in as an orderly for too long, and then they said, oh, he has to go back to the office. So I think it was the
Wow.
time when they started doing this luxurious buses came into play at the time. So, and then they had policemen guarding luxurious buses. So they moved most of the orderlies from these rich men to guard luxurious buses to work at night. So we had to now move to the police barrack, and that's where reality struck
Wow.
us. Like, okay, is
Wow.
this supposed to
Wow.
be our life? And so growing up, getting there, my dad started to have these very strong lessons for us. He says, oh, you live in the barrack, but you're not a barrack girl. I'm thinking,
Oh,
so what's wrong with
wow.
barrack kids? Like, and then he will take me in the
Your
evening and
dad
say,
used
tell
to
me
say
feelings
that
around.
to you, right?
Yeah.
Was your
Mm-hmm.
dad educated?
No, he wasn't.
Wow.
He wasn't.
But he
But it's
had
something
he
that he
had
felt.
that. Yes, he just knew that he wanted
Mm-hmm.
something different for his
Better.
children.
Yes.
Are you the
Yes.
first?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, I am. So, and he'll take me out in the evening, me and my younger brother, the one just next to me, and he'll show us kids that are smoking, that are like 12, 13,
How old were
smoking,
you
or
at
when he
this
sees a
time?
pregnant teenager, 8, I was about 8, 7, 8,
Wow.
and then he
Wow.
will take us to, and then when he sees a pregnant teenager, he will call us and say, see that one, she's 12 years old. You don't want to turn out
Wow.
like that, And then
Wow.
I'm wondering, well, we're not going to turn out like that. He's like, no, that's what the bag will do to you. And so he
Mm,
tried as much as he could to get us back out of the bars, but it didn't work out.
mm.
Eventually, we had to move to Kaduna. We were living in Lagos at the time because we were born in Lagos.
Okay.
So we had to move to
Okay.
Kaduna for many reasons. One of the reasons was that my dad felt like we didn't connect where we're from. So when people say to me, and it happened after I was in school one day, and then I was told to act as a Fulani, and I was given this Fulani outfit to wear to act as a Hausa girl. And then my dad said, this is not a Hausa clothing. This is a Fulani clothing. And
Wow.
it's even wrong. And my dad now said, and you're not a Hausa girl. So first and foremost, you're not Hausa. Second,
Mm.
this is not a Hausa outfit. This is Fulani. So they are getting it all wrong. And I was thinking,
Wow.
they've been doing this in my school for
I'm
ages.
telling
No
you,
one
I'm
has
hearing
ever
that for the
complained.
first time.
Why is the one complaining? And my dad said, you know what? We're all going to move back to Kaduna State. And I'm thinking, oh my God, where is that? And so we moved. We traveled there a couple of times as children, but I didn't have a lot of knowledge about that. So we eventually moved to Kaduna. And that's when my mom had the last boy, our last boy, 3 at the time, had
Right.
my last brother. And I remember that I was about 9, going 10. My dad said to me that he wanted to let me know why he always took education very seriously, why he had to ensure that we got books from the rich people, because no one in my family has ever gone past secondary school.
Hmm.
And I thought, okay, why has that a big deal? Like, okay, and then he said he just thinks that there's a jig somewhere or something that is stopping everybody from going past
Wow.
secondary school.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so he has always
Was
told
your
himself
dad
that
from a polygamous home?
no, no, he wasn't.
Okay. Okay.
He wasn't, but he has a lot of siblings. No, at the time, he has 4, 5, 6, and then all of them had
Wow.
7, 8 children. So there are
Wow.
always a lot of kids around. And then that was the only thing he told me. And that's the reason why he wanted me to go to school. So that when I go past secondary school, and I graduate from university, it will break the jinx if there's anything like that. Said, okay,
Up
well, it
until
wasn't
that
a big
time,
deal.
sorry, Raquel, up until
Mhm.
that time, nobody had gone past secondary school.
No,
Nobody
no,
in your entire
nobody,
lineage.
nobody,
Are you for real?
nobody, no one.
Wow. Wow. Go ahead.
So my dad had this very, this grand dream of one day, I'm going to graduate from University of Jos or Ahmadu Bello University, and he's going to throw a party, and he just had this dream, and everyone that knew my dad heard about my dad's dream. Like everyone
Wow.
always said, my dad has one mission in life, to ensure that I
Wow.
get to university, get a degree.
Wow.
So when I was about to write WAEC, he would say it all out. WAEC is next year, you finish, you go to UJ, and I'm like, yes, I will.
Oh my
And then
goodness. What an amazing father.
and then that
Wow.
a Christmas before I wrote my WAEC, he passed that Christmas evening. and
Oh,
he was in an accident.
wow. Was an
So
accident. He wasn't
yes, it was
ill?
like Christmas Eve. No, he wasn't. He just said, "Oh, I'll be back,"
Wow.
and he never came back.
Oh, wow.
So um, so at 16, it was like I just turned 16 a few weeks before, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Like no way, like there's no way. And then the term after that, right after I wrote my WIEC, the July after that year, that no, it was Christmas. So the next year, July, I wrote my WIEC, I was done, and then I realized my brothers were not going to school anymore. And I started to,
Hmm.
I was worried. My mom was like,
Okay.
"Oh, no money. There's nothing she
Wow.
could do about it.
Wow.
That's why she didn't send me money for WIEC." Blah. So long story short, my brothers were out of school, and so my uncles were coming around, and I'm going to try and fast track it so that we can meet a time.
Go ahead.
It's an
Go ahead.
entire
I
TV
know.
show.
I know. I know.
So my uncles came around. As I see my uncles around, like I'm like, what's going on? There's always this uncle coming and out, uncle, and then they'll be saying things, and I'm like, what are they saying? I feel like there's something they're saying about me. You know how I have that feeling like they're talking about me. At the time, I got a job with this man that my mom introduced me to. That said, "Oh, there's a woman that sells clothes. You just go and fold the clothes for her. She'll pay you 4K every month." So when I started
Wow.
working with the woman, she still told me, "Oh, her neighbor was sending the charge cards and will pay me more." So when I
Okay.
fold her clothes, I will go work with this young man, and I'll help
Wow.
with selling the charge cards, and all that, because she has a supermarket, and then she only wants you to fold the clothes after people have ransacked it. So you just fold it and you
Exactly.
can go back to it. So I had two
Right.
jobs after secondary school.
Wow.
So this young man tried to rape me,
Whoa.
and that was my first attempt at. I'm like, what do you want to do? So what I did was I took all his recharge cards and I dashed it away and I ran away. And it was like
That was a
black
smart move.
750 recharge cards, and I dashed everything away and I ran home. So he went,
Wow.
and when I got home, I told my mom that the man tried to rape me. I told the woman he tried to rape me, and that's why I escaped. So I had people that told, and my mom went to report to the police station that he tried to. We
Okay.
had a statement, and then when he
Okay.
came back, he now came with police to arrest me, and then he was arrested. And so, and he was screaming defamation of character, all sort of
Oh my
things, and
goodness.
so. But my mom now said, "Oh, this rape case, this whole thing, your uncles have been around. They want to talk to you." And so I started snooping around, and I heard one of my uncles say something about they called a particular man that I've always known that
Okay.
if he marries Raquel, he's very wealthy. He'll send the boys to school. I thought like I did not hear
Wow.
what's the man like
Wow.
marry who to do what,
Wow.
and I'm like,
16.
no, my dad just died 2 months ago, and everyone that knows my dad knew that my dad wanted me to go to school. If you marry me, I'm
Exactly.
never going to go to school. So I just called my friend at the point. Her name is Helen. I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving this place home. I just took one box, a green box. I still have the box till today, a little
Wow.
green box, and I just put the little things that I had in it. I went to visit a particular man that had always liked my dad, and I told him that I wanted to borrow money, and he borrowed me 20K. I told him I wanted to run away because he wanted to marry me off, and he said, no, 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 no. Everyone knows that dad wants to go to school. I'm going to borrow you this 20K. He used to work
Are
for
you
Econet
for
at the
real?
time. He works
But
for Econet at the time.
what do you think made that man? You were 16, right?
Uh,
What do you think
yeah,
made him borrow you? As in, how were you going
my
to
dad.
repay him? How were
It
you
was
going
my
to
dad.
pay back?
It wasn't
Wow.
because of me. He always said it because of my dad. That he knew my dad has always wanted me. My father said it everywhere. Even when he was drunk, he would say it. Even when my dad used to drink alcohol, so he would be high. And he would just say that he has one life goal. His baby is gonna go to school, he's gonna go to university, he's gonna have a graduate in
Wow.
his house. So
Wow.
everyone knew that. So he didn't give because I came to him and I wanted to. No, no, no. Because he just thought that if I help this one, maybe she'll do something with her life.
Okay.
I did come back to pay him the money, but I heard that he was dead.
Wow.
But that's
Wow.
another story for another
Right.
day. I did
Right.
come back.
Right.
And so he gave me this 20K and I took it and I just disappeared. And
Just
I
like
came to
that.
Lagos. Well, I came to Lagos to live with my uncle, my maternal uncle, and
Okay,
he
but
was
what
very caring.
did you like leave a note at home?
No,
Did you?
no. When I got to my uncle's house, I made my uncle call my mom that I was in his house so that she wouldn't
Okay.
worry.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So,
Okay.
so because I didn't have a phone, so
Wait,
so
wait,
I
were
took
you
it
were
to
you
the
were
night
you
hospital.
angry with your mom
No,
at
I
that
just knew
time?
that she didn't have money. No, I knew that she was in a tight spot. I wasn't angry with her. I knew she was in a tight spot, so she didn't have a choice. That's what I thought.
Right.
I thought she didn't have a
Right.
choice. And
Right.
my brothers were out of school. There was nothing she could do. I just felt like there was nothing she could do. The only time I knew I was angry with my mom was when people said all sorts about me, and then she didn't consult me to say, oh, is it true? Are you prostituting? Is that true? Is that where you get money from? She just started preaching to me about how I need to leave that lifestyle, and I'm like, no, that's not my lifestyle. So
That's not
I
your
got
lifestyle.
it. So I'm like, no, no, no,
All
no, no,
right.
no, no. I thought you brought me up better than that. How could you think that I would join, those
Wow.
people? But
Wow.
that's when I got angry at my mom. But I was never angry at my mom for trying to, go through with my
Go
uncles. I was
through
never
that.
angry. In fact, I kept telling her that I don't blame her for even thinking
Mm,
through it.
mm,
And so I went to
mm.
my uncle's house, and my uncle was nice, his wife and his son. And then I came back and he tried to rape me also. That was my second attempt. And so I have
Whoa. Wait,
this
hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. Your
scar.
uncle
Mhm. Yes,
that
my
you
mom,
came
my mom's
to
brother.
for
Help.
help in Lagos.
Mm.
Wow. Okay, go ahead.
So while during the struggle, I got this scar in my hand. I
So there
think
was a
I got the
struggle.
scar.
So he actually
Yes,
wanted to have his way.
yes, there was a
Wow.
struggle.
Okay.
And
Okay. Wow.
so when I escaped, I knew Obalinde. I grew up in Lagos. I lived a long for a while in
Right.
Lagos as a child, but I didn't really know a lot of places. So but I
Right.
just managed through. And so the first day I didn't have anywhere to go, to start stay under the bridge. And I remember staying
Wow.
under the bridge for the night. And I was like, here or better than my uncle's house. Because for me, when I think of rape, I think of pregnancy. So I'm like,
Yes,
it's just being to
yes.
just kill
Like
him.
no way. Okay, so now
So
let's
I'm like,
let's
no.
talk about this first night under the bridge in Obalende. I lived in
Hmm?
Lagos. I grew up in
Yeah.
Lagos. I know Obalende well. This was like 2000 and
Old
what?
Obalinde,
This was like
2014.
so this was before
2004.
2004, right? This
2004.
was before what's that governor that came to refurbish what's his name now? Um the governor
Fashola.
before Ambode.
Fashola. Before Fashola.
Fashola. This was
Fashola.
before Fashola. So obviously
Yes.
Obalende was like
Was still
Obalende.
Obalinde. The Obalinde was Obalinde. The
So
real Obalinde.
because so it's so amazing, Raquel, that I'm just trying to hit a note here that what girls, the extent girls would go to avoid being raped. So, like you
Yeah.
said, you would rather sleep under the
Mm.
bridge in Obalende than stay in your uncle's house that you know there's a possibility he would eventually rape you if you slept there that night.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was it like? What was the experience?
It was one night, but it was like, how they say the thing that you fear the most just comes in front of you. Maybe it doesn't happen to you, but it was what I was afraid of. And then I saw someone get harassed and raped him at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Whoa.
I think she was coming out to go to work. I'm not sure. I can't even give the detail. I know she was coming out, and then the boys just tackled, and I'm like, what? So that how in Obalende, if you remember Obalende, there are these women that sell bread. They always have this shed that has a hole on that where they put the bread
Yes.
and they bring it out
Yes.
and put it on top. So
Yes.
they would turn that over at night so that it is now the back that you can see. So I just went underneath it. I was like, this
Whoa.
is where I'm going to stay. I was like, what
Wow.
am I saying? So I knew I knew that this place was not safe for me at all. So once it was bright, it was about 5. People started coming. I saw a lot of people coming out around 5 a.m. It was still dark. I just went out. I started moving around, to just walking around. And then when it was really daytime, I saw a couple of girls coming out. So they came out from a car, going into like a hall. So I just thought, I don't know where all these girls are going to, but I just follow through. And then I saw another woman trying to make ewa going and bread early in the morning, this very hot bread. So I quickly told the woman that I'm looking for a place to just put my head. So I said, follow those girls, now follow them. So I quickly just followed them through, and I didn't know that they're coming from the club and they've been dropped from the bus and all that. And that's
Okay.
how I followed the girls. I followed them into their plane. They're like, who are you? And I said, I slept under the bridge. I didn't have anywhere to go. They're like, you be cleaner. Can you clean? I said, they're looking for a cleaner. I'm like, I
Wow.
can clean. I can clean. No.
Wow.
They're
Oh
like, okay,
wow.
how much? And I was stupid. I didn't know that they could pay me. So I was like, no, I just need a place to stay. You don't have to pay me.
Oh
That's how I trapped
wow.
myself.
Goodness gracious.
I had no idea that I could actually get paid. So I just said, don't pay me out. In fact, I can't even lay. I just said, tell me all
Hey,
sorts of things I could do for
Jesus.
them.
Wow.
So I tied myself to these girls that,
Oh my God.
used
Just
me
to get a place
to
to lay your
clean.
head.
I felt like if there are many girls there, that's why I knew that they go to club. That's what they do for a living, and all that. So I started to, live. I live there, and you don't want to know what happens there. Of course, if you're an
Wow.
adult, you understand what happens in a. It's not a hotel that has rooms. It's a brothel
It's a
that is
brothel.
demarcated with plywood. So
Wow.
what that means is that
Wow.
if a girl brings her customer to the next room, you can actually hear what she's doing in the next room.
Oh,
And so they're
wow.
always saying, instead of saying, help her, Rax, it's 5, I have a customer for 15 minutes, help me
Wow.
quickly lay the bed, you
Wow.
know, and then I'll quickly run and go and lay the bed for the person, and then I'll run out. And then while I'm leaving the bed for one person, I'm hearing the other person servicing her customer in the other room,
Right. Right.
and so let
Oh,
me spare
God.
you all the details of what I went through, hearing all sort of things. Before then, I can't remember ever watching porn. I can't remember as a young person, I can't remember, but I had a visual understanding of what it was, just
I,
listening to all those things
I
kept in
can
my head. I
imagine.
could be
Gosh.
walking, I'm walking on the streets, and all I'm hearing was people mourning in my making
Oh,
all sort of
Jesus.
bedroom sound. And I'll be doing like this, and then my eyes used to be very red, like I used to be high. I didn't know that I was always high, that it was because of this
Oh,
secondhand, I was a
because
secondhand
of.
smoker. So
Woo.
so I had these constant headaches, and my eyes were red, and I was always tired. Apparently, I was always smoking. I was always
You
smoking all sort of banger. So
My
I had no
God.
idea. So I was always taking paracetamol. I was always taking paracetamol. I always have this
Can I
headache,
cut
and
you
my eyes
in
are
a
always
bit
red, and I
here?
didn't know that I was always smoking.
Can I cut you in a bit here? Did your uncle look for you? Did you have a
I
phone
can,
at that time?
oh, mm-hmm. My uncle
Did
did
he?
look for me. He called my mom to tell my mom that I ran away from his house to go and start prostituting in Obalindi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Obviously, he
So
won't tell
everyone
her what
believed him
happened.
because they couldn't reach me. Of course,
Okay.
yes. Of course,
Oh,
obviously. And his wife backed him. His wife that I told, of course, stood by her husband, you know.
wow. Oh, so
But
you actually
his
eventually
son
you
believed
eventually
me.
told
His
his
son said, yeah.
wife.
I told I went to the house. Eventually, I went there because I wanted to talk to my mom. I didn't have a number. I couldn't find my mom's number in my bag. I had my school bag. I said I went there to go and ask for my mom's phone number so I can call her. I told her not to worry. That I told my mom everything that I've been in Novalindi. And
Wow.
so I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything there. I'm cleaning for a place to stay so that I can. And and then his son, and I told his wife and his son. His son said he believed me, but the wife said she doesn't believe me. That even if she believes me,
Wow.
that she cannot, she has to stand with her husband. So I should not
Wow.
bother. Told me to my
Wow.
face
Wow.
that
Wow.
what did I do to seduce him? What was I wearing?
Wow.
Blah blah blah
16,
blah blah. And
16
she said
year
all sorts.
old.
So, but
Oh
his son kept saying,
God.
"I believe you. I believe you."
We hear these things, people come and say these
So,
things on social
but
media,
that's
but you actually experienced it. And it's really it's so heartbreaking that a wife
yes,
would a wife, a woman, let me not say a wife, would believe a man over a child that has never been promiscuous. Do you understand? I'm talking of a 16-year-old. Yes, a 16-year-old is not a young girl anymore, per se. Yeah, she has her fully developed body. But at the same time, I think that there are certain things that the question is not what were you wearing? As in, if at all
yeah,
it's confirmed that that man attempted to rape his own niece, I don't think any woman in her right senses, honestly, and this is not me being insulting, should try and in any way cover up for him or put the blame on the girl.
unfortunately,
Is really
yeah,
so sad.
unfortunately,
And this is just a clear confirmation that these things are happening, in our society on a regular basis. And these women keep covering up these men, and they keep encouraging, perpetuating this kind of devilish thing. And these women keep
yeah,
covering up for them because they want to save face. I really hope that God will
yeah.
help us, and yeah, go ahead. So how long were you at the brothel?
Mhm.
And how long were you
I was
high?
there for almost 2 years. I was high even years after I left there. I think months after I left there, I think I was still high because my eye was still red. I kept using eye drop to clear my eyes. But I
Wow.
think the headaches didn't stop for a very long time. And
Right.
then constant, tape in my head that played for my head for like almost 5 years after. Sometimes I
Whoa.
walk. I'm walking on the streets and I'll just get lost in what I was doing. I'll start enjoying the sound in my head. And then
Wow.
I'll just,
Wow.
and I'll hear, pom, pom. And I'm like, okay, I'm on the road.
Woo! Gosh.
You know, and then I'll get lost in the sound in my head. And the sound became something that I was always looking forward to hearing in my head,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just
My
take part to
goodness.
just wait for the thing to play in my head, you know. And then even when I want to sleep,
Almost
sometimes I'll
becoming
just
an
close my eyes
addiction.
and I'll close my eyes and I'm waiting for it to just play in my head, And then I left there. I stayed there for a year, almost 2 years, a year, 9 months there, about almost 10 months. And then I'd accept because the girls tried to get me to join them. Some of the guys tried to get me to sell my kidney for money. Oh, we sell kidneys. You can sell one kidney, and you can still make money. All sort of gimmicks to get me to join them. But I'm like, no, I'm not. So I'll do my devotion in the brothel in the morning. Sometimes I come back from the club and they're like, your devotion is making us have headache. Oh, we want to sleep. I'm like, well, I'll
Wow.
make it quick. So they'll call me stuff like Jesus girl and all
Oh,
that.
so
And
you
then
would
some
call them together to have devotion with them
I don't call you, I just start praise and worship because who am I to call them?
by yourself.
They'll not, they'll just have the days that they join me. I used to see that sometimes they join me, but I never put thought into it. I just think that maybe sometimes God is touching their hearts. So one day I was talking to one of them. I'm like, I like you when you guys join me. Oh." And she said, no, we're not joining you because we like you. We're joining you because maybe somebody has died or they need someone for rituals or something. I'm like, I thought maybe you
Are
people
you
like
for,
me. Thought
are
you people
you
like
for
me or
real?
something. And they're like, no,
Wow.
it's not like we like you. I'm like, that's bad. So anytime that I see them gather, I always ask them what happened. So that I will know. They'll say, hey, they cut somebody's breast and they found her in the gutter.
Woo! God.
So I'm like,
What a
oh, what's the
life.
name? Let's pray for her, all sort of things, and they'll join, we'll now pray and all that. And then the next day they're off again, dressing up to the club. No story. They will not
No
they will share her
story.
property. They'll share all her
Wow.
clothes, all those,
Wow. That's it. That chapter is gone. She's gone.
she's gone.
Do they go to church on Sundays?
No,
Some of
nobody
them.
goes anywhere.
None.
I wasn't even going to church. I didn't have a church to go to. So me, I was always stuck there. Sunday is like free day. Nobody is allowed to bring a customer on Sundays.
Oh, so they are
It's
that
bad. It's bad.
religious.
It's bad. Yeah, like a taboo. Not like a taboo. Like it's a rule in a brothel. You don't work on Sundays. You don't bring customers. You can go and work outside, but you don't bring customers there on Sundays. It's not allowed. Sunday is the day that everybody just allows. So it's like Sabbath for them.
It's
But they still go out to
amazing.
work. Oh.
It's
They still
amazing
go out
how
to work.
this. It's amazing how their mind works. They're not for God, but they know that there is a God, and they don't. I've heard someone tell me. Actually, she was a victim of kidnap, and she told me that on Sundays they are kingpin, the oga of the kidnap, where she was kidnapped and kept for about
Mm.
14 days or 13, 14 days. She said while she was there, the 2 Sundays she spent there, the oga would call the boys, give them money, and tell them to go to church to pay tithes.
Hmm.
Would give them money and tell them go and pay tithes. It's amazing. It's crazy how they think. You're doing something
Mm.
terrible. You're killing people. You're kidnapping people. But then you feel like, okay, let's honor God. Let's
Yes,
honor
let's leave
God.
Sunday alone. Mm.
I'm telling you.
So
Go ahead, Raquel.
that's the day that they are protected. So
Right.
on Sundays, nobody. So you come back on Saturday, you go for Saturday, and you come back on Sunday very early in the morning, and you're not going anywhere. You don't work on Sunday night till Monday. So your work starts
Okay.
Monday night. So that's how it is. And then one of them sold me out because one of the guys was like, oh, I want to sleep with this one, and then she collected money, and then she said you can rape her if you want to. And so
Whoa.
tried to rape me, and then he said he called his gang, and she didn't know that it was a gang thing. He saw it was just him. And so when they now knew it was a gang, they decided to, tell the woman that was selling bread to warn me that she later heard that it was gang and all that. But the woman was trying to get to me, I had this bird phone, calling my phone. So the phone was behind my pocket. I had this one pair of jeans and one t-shirt, and then I had another t-shirt later on. And then so when I wash my jeans, I'll sit down overnight for it to dry. So that because that's one pair of jeans I had. And then when I wash my t-shirts every other day. So that's why I think I got used to t-shirts
To
eventually because
t-shirt
it's
and
like
jeans,
I'm
like
just used to
that's what you've known
t-shirts.
all your life.
I just got used to it.
I
So
know.
this girl tried to sell me out. And then when I tried to escape, I fell on this Obalinde, in Obalinde, where the bridge is. There is this army barracks by the left hand side, going to Kefi, going to turn to Awolowo Road, the
Right.
army barrack. And at that time, they used to have this heavy mopo present where they have these barbed wires a lot. So you can't even drive in front of the army barracks. You have to join the one way to go. So they want the whole army barrack where people drive through now, then you can't drive in front of the barracks. So I ran towards the barrack and I fell on a barbed wire and it cut my skin. I still have a very huge chunk of skin that came out from the scar here. When the guy that was chasing me saw the blood, when I fell, he carried me, because I think that the Holy Spirit just did it, because he just couldn't understand. The blood was a lot. He didn't pursue me anymore. The rest ran away. But if he left me there, probably I'd die, because I would have bled, because I had a large chunk. He carried me and he ran towards Kefi. He was running. And I used to be very slim. So because I wasn't eating, so I had this long neck, so I was slim, so I wasn't that heavy, so of course. But he ran till he got to Kefi and he dropped me in front of military hospital. At the end of Kefi. It's a long run. He ran so much. You know when you are high on blood.
That was
a long run. He kept running and kept running.
I know where military hospital is.
When I stood there years later and I looked at the road that he ran, I said, there's no way. There's no way. He ran. He was high, but he immediately dropped in front of military hospital. He disappeared. So the women came and they carried me. And they were shouting, she don't wound, and all that. Because my top was torn, all that. So, and I was like, I'm not today. Shut up. That's what they talk, all that. But I was bleeding a lot.
Wow.
And the only people that came to bail me the next day were Asheo.
Can you imagine? They were the only ones you knew.
No, the only one that came. And the other lady has explained what she did, and they scolded her. They all said all sorts of things to her. And on the honor went out of anger, and this they all went to go and look for Jesus girl. So that's how they got me. And the woman had a card with my name, because everyone knew my real name. I didn't know that people are using pseudonyms on the street. I had no idea. So I said my real name. So the woman had a card, the military hospital that she opened with me and my name. And so I knew that I couldn't leave that card there, because when they wrote profession, she wrote Asheo.
Oh, jeez.
And I knew I had to steal it. So I was like, God, you have to forgive me on this one, because I'm going to steal that card. So when it was time for us to leave, I found the way. I said I was going to enter the bathroom, and I stole the card and I disappeared. I'm like, never. I don't want to have any record of me in the military hospital. What? And thank God there was no computer to repeat anything there. It was all manual. So I was happy to steal my small file and escape.
Right.
And that's how one of them came to me, and she was very sad about what the other did. And while talking to me, and I told her that maybe I should have to find a separate kind of job so that I can make some money. Maybe if I make money, I will stop depending.
Sorry, Raquel. Up until this time, you were still not paid.
No, they already give me maybe 100 naira, 50 naira to just buy food, or if I don't cook for them. I cook for them. I was the one that was making the food, and that's why I hated cooking. I hated washing. I still hate washing and cooking.
So you were cooking, you were cleaning, you were washing.
I was washing. I was cleaning after people that had sex. So you see that it's not. So it was a mess.
How long did you do all of this for?
About a year, 10 months, 8, 9 months, 10 months.
That's almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. I was there for almost 2 years. And then one of them that came to feel bad for me said to me, then I talked to my mom, I used to call my mom with their phone, and my mom would say, well, I said, I'm cleaning. I don't have a job yet, but where I clean, I have a place to stay. That's what I pay for being here. So there was not a rule after that incident. There was not a rule. Nobody touches me. I'm doing them a favor. They're not paying me. So there was like a gang meeting.
Wow.
I don't want to call a name, because there's a particular guy that he's way older now. He's actually currently doing some local government something in around the Abandi area. But it was like a kingpin around that time. Yeah. So he would say that, don't touch this one. She's helping us. She's doing us a favor, and she cover us with the blood of Jesus. That kind of thing. He's just playing around, and that's how that incident on my site just saved me for a few months. Nobody had my time. So God. One of them said to me, and I want to find maybe something else to do. I can make hair, But of course, the kind of hair they make, they won't let me touch their hair. They want to make hair in classy all these places where they spend money. So she now said, you have to use what you have to get what you want. I was naive. I was thinking, okay, use what I have to get what I want. What do I have? So I went to make a list of things that I could do. So
Wow.
because I didn't realize what she meant was I
Exactly.
should come and
Of
use my
course.
body, but I didn't get it. So I came up with a plan to start doing my solo business. That I'll do my small business. Because my mom used to own this child evangelism fellowship clubs for children. Then those
Okay.
white people came in from abroad. They taught a lot of Sunday school teachers how to, own clubs for children. So she had her own club. So we used to make chin chin and sobo almost every Sunday for kids. So I thought, I can make my sobo. So I started selling my sobo. So I told the lady I needed 200 naira to start this business. I can find the bottles. There's water available that we can boil. All I need to buy is sugar and the sobo. And I can get the filter for the sobo from the woman that sells the beans, because she has become like a mother, to me, very friendly to me. She gives a lot of beans to eat and bread. So this lady said to me, okay, fine, I'll borrow you 200 naira. And then later, after like 5 minutes, like, I dash you. So that's the 200 naira. I went to buy my cup of sobo. It's a small derica. And I got empty. I started going around finding bottles from people that are in their houses. I came and parboiled the bottles. Then I made my first sobo, got ice block. And then I made my sobo. So what I did was I realized that if I sold the sobo on my head, go around, I won't have time to clean and they might chase me away. So I started looking for a strategy to sell. So I said, okay, fine. People make phone calls across, then all these phone calls across. If I put sobos, four sobo in different stalls, like people that sell, give them, I can come back in the evenings and pick up my empty bottles
I'll
and
pick
collect
up
my
your
money.
empty bottles and your
So
money. Wow.
I started
Wow.
to do that. So that's how I started saving
Wow.
money. So instead of hawking, I would give like a lot of
Give
them,
it
almost
to
20 of them
them.
down the streets. Yeah.
Whoa.
So I'll give them money
Whoa.
and I'll come back. So my solar business grew. Then we type pure water in the nylon. Then I make it block.
Yes. Yes.
Then there was no sachet pure water
No,
like
no.
that. So
Right.
we make them and who buy. And that so I said then I started adding. I'll need my chin chin. I'll make a little chin and I'll staple the chin chin with a stapler, but I didn't have a sealing machine. I'll
Right.
use a stapler
Right.
to staple it.
Right.
And then so that's how I started making some money. I'm like, first I made like 1K. I'm like 1,000 naira. Like, gosh,
Wow.
like I had 1,000 naira. Like I couldn't believe it. Like
Wow.
it was a lot to have 1,000
Yeah.
naira. Like own a
Yeah.
1,000 naira, and it's not
Yeah.
anybody's money. And I'm
That's
not
it.
I'm not indebted to anyone.
That's it.
So a few years ago I couldn't tell the story because it was difficult. To
Mm.
share without crying. you
Mm.
know.
Mm.
But now there's a lot of smile and laughter
Oh,
looking back,
bless
and I'm
God.
like, just has, it
Bless
just has to
God.
be you because I couldn't have thought about doing all that, putting it on the bottles. That's a
That's it.
strategy for retailing already.
That's it. That's it. I'm telling you.
But that's
I'm telling
how
you.
God inspires you to do His work.
Yeah.
So when I had enough money, I wanted to leave the streets, and then police started to raid
Okay.
brothels.
Obalende.
So
Brothel.
I yes, I had to raid. Yeah, police will come with armored vehicles and raid brothels and pack everyone into Kirikiri, and that's the end of it. So each time I go out to go and pick up my bottles, I maybe get stuck there, maybe gisting with somebody and waiting out, and I come back here and they've raided. And then people now start to wonder, how come each time you go out, you don't come back on time, you raid? Actually, another one that's telling the police when to
Now,
come.
can you imagine?
So one day I went to a cyber cafe because when I want to escape the girls, when I started making my money, I started sleeping in cyber cafe. So what I do cyber cafe is that when
Wow.
I go to the cafe, I realized that I can pay 70 naira for the entire night, all night browsing, and I had a computer to myself. I didn't know how to use the computer, so it wasn't a big deal. I'll just use the computer and again I'll sleep off. So it
I
was
sleep
easier
off.
than the bottle. So 70 naira at least twice a week to just get a good night's
Wow.
sleep.
Wow.
And then one of the days that I was supposed to come, because I was there was like clockwork for me. So some of the guys would not say, "Oh, yeah, young girl, come and make phone call and help us to tell somebody to send some things to Nigeria." I didn't know it was fraud. So I had no idea. So I'll make the phone call. I'll try to tell the person the price of our goods are risk. I didn't know. Me, I was just doing fraud work. I didn't know that it's fraud. I didn't know. And
Wow.
someone now says, the one of the ogas said he wants me to be the one working for him. I said, working? Is it a work? Is it a
What
job?
is
Nobody
it
has
a
paid
walk?
me any money. Which
Is it
one?
a job?
I was helping people make phone calls. And then one of the guy there he told me, he said, now IP now. And IP then means IP, anything IP relay IP is fraud, is Yahoo Yahoo. That's the code. I was at IP. I'm like, what? Ah, they're taking me make phone call, IP phone calls, I couldn't believe it. So I tried to
Wow.
leave the cafe. Immediately I stormed out of the cafe. I left not long after the police raided the cafe.
Can you just imagine?
And I didn't know. I just went away. So I
So
came
you've
back in.
escaped the police, and the truth is that there is no way you could have spoken your way out of it. There was no way you could
No,
have said you are not part of them. There was no
no,
way, because
no way.
that's where you stay, you sleep there, you
Yes.
live there. There was no
Mm-hmm.
way you could have
And I
said,
hang around there,
I'm not
evidence.
Chewo, I'm not
No,
Yahoo Yahoo.
exactly.
Wow, the mercies
Don't do
of
me.
God, the
And then I
mercies
came
of
back to
God.
the cafe a week later, just like normal, just to come and sleep. And as soon as
Right.
I landed, I just heard, this is the girl that sold us out. I'm like, sold who
Yeah.
out? And that's how I would have died, because those boys, they carry tire,
Woo!
machete. Hey, it took the grace of God for me to escape that place. People were saying, no, be she not lie. Said that they
Are
couldn't
you
be fat.
for
It
real?
was impossible not to be the one, because as soon as I stormed out angrily, police walked in. It was like, no, this girl, she has to be the one. But
Ouch.
thanks to some of the girls that and some of the agros that I've been friends with, from the bottom, who were just around Saba Cafe, they were like,
Right.
no, 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 I just was girl, no, she don't be that kind of thing, no. So they saved me from those guys carrying tires, and they would have just burnt me alive. Like that one is no
Wow.
story,
Wow.
because how would I escape it? Like, and then the
Exactly.
people in the bottle believed the story, because they kept saying, you're always escaping raid here.
Whenever they
And
come to
then
raid.
you went to cafe, you escape raid again. Something something must be going on here.
Oh
These
my
were like
goodness.
coincidences where I sat down and I'm like, God, this has to be you. I couldn't have known. That was the time when I said, God, I know your hand is on me. Like if I doubted you, forgive me. Like if
At
I doubted that you
all.
love me, forgive. God, this has to be you. So these are
Okay, a
times.
quick
And
one now. A quick one now. Let's flip back. So I know
okay.
I believe it was God all the way. You're not getting involved with them at the brothel. You doing your devotional. So that means that even though your dad wasn't exactly born again, right?
Just my
So at
mom.
what point did you get born again, and how did you get that consciousness, that God consciousness? That, because I believe that was what kept you in the brothel.
Yeah.
That apart from God's mercy and favor, but the God consciousness in you kept you from, even joining them, because you were going through a hard time. And I'm sure they were
Yes, it was
cashing out
difficult.
every day. They were cashing out every day. And then you could have
Oh
as well
wow, yes.
considered it. So aside from your dad hammering it and saying he never wanted you to be pregnant and all of that, at what point did you get born again?
I think I did my altar call a couple of times growing up, like many times. Each time I lie as a child, and my mom would look at me, I'll go and go and do altar call. I'll respond to an altar call. My mom was grounded. My mom was grounded. Um,
Okay.
and
Okay.
so she's always been the children's teacher.
Right.
And so my dad had philosophy, and he used to joke and say, now pastor picking spoil pass. He used to joke and say that. And so my mom would now say, well, my mom will now say, well, this pastor picking, they no go spoil. They just like leave my house. And so
Amen.
I think
Wow.
my mom kind of held that, and she keeps saying, don't ever believe that it's because I'm a preacher, or because I teach children, or because I'm a Sunday school leader, then you could be the ones, prove them wrong. She'll say that, prove
Mm,
them wrong.
mm.
So as a young person, I was always close to my mother. I learned volunteering from my mom. She makes me volunteer for
Okay.
her the children's whatever it is that
Program,
she was doing with the kids.
outreaches, and
She
all
will ensure
that.
that
Yeah.
I serve the children. Yes, I go for all the children's camp, the youth camp, and I will not sit. She'll make me want to be youth camp leader. I want to just because my mom is serving, I have to do it. So because of that, I realized that there's no better place to be than in Jesus. So and then I growing up learning all the children's songs, Donuts Man, kids praise. So it was easy for me to just fall in love with just being a Jesus girl. And so I had my Bible in my bag throughout the time I was on the streets. I was always reading my Bible. I was always trying
Wow.
to do my devotion in the brothel with them. And if and that's how it was easy for me. So my original birthday, where I'm conscious of giving my life to Christ, was when I was 15. It was my mom that called us all in and said she wanted all of us to talk about giving our life, not the one that used to run to the altar and go and cry, that not that one,
Right.
that one has done
Right.
it too many times, that this one
Right.
genuinely, that if are
Right.
we ready? And I said I was ready. And my mom
Right.
and I said, okay, fine. So my mom led me to God. I was 15 at the
Wow.
time
Wow.
when
Wow.
I was in
That's
SS2.
so. Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
so that's why
That's
how I
it. Okay, so
That was my
because
thought.
of time, back now, you've done almost 2 years in the brothel. You escaped death a
Yeah,
number of times, and it was just the mercy of God. And like someone said, God
yeah,
incidences. God just showed up for
yeah.
you at different times and all of that. At what point did you have that turning point? That point where had you done your WIEC at this time? How did you now push yourself to going into University of Lagos to study? And I can see a lot of things in your past playing out today. Like you said, you learned volunteering from your mom. You're a big advocate on volunteering. I know that. I'm sure all the things that you've been through has fueled your passion for young
Yes.
girls and helping young girls and just keeping them. And I believe that all those things you went through, God allowed you go through it and kept you through it so that you can share your story today to other people that they don't have to go through it. So what was that turning point? At what point did you experience that turning point?
I'd written my work, but because my dad just passed before my work, I flopped. It was, I think it was all F's. I can't remember. I think it was just
Wow.
bad. I just wrote it and I just said, no, I'm not doing this. I just wrote and I moved on. But then after that year after I left, I wrote GC while I was on the streets. I wrote
Okay.
GC. I wrote
While you were
GC.
at the bottle.
I wrote GC because there was the woman that sells beans. She had a daughter. She has an register life now. And the girl said there was an NGO that wanted to register, and I can't remember them at this time because at that point I didn't think to even keep their name or anything. And
Right.
they took our names and said they wanted to register us for WAEC. And an NGO came around for the woman, not the brother, it was for the woman. And the daughter put my name, and so that's how I was able to write GC
Wow.
that year. But that's not only
Wow.
GC because I was a science student. So the
Okay.
GC was I didn't really pass as much that year. But then I kept writing jam. So since when I started having money, I'll write jam.
Mm.
So but I had my sciences result, which was I think I didn't have math, but I had English.
Right.
So but I kept my result. The one I wrote at that the NGO helped me to pay through the boss's the one that the boss's mom.
Right.
So I kept that with me. I carried that everywhere with me. And then
Okay.
I wrote jam. Every year I write jam and then I'll pass. I get a lot now and then they'll say, oh, go and check your name. And I always put in Unilag, but Unilag was just down the road. So I wasn't
Yeah.
putting anywhere further again. I didn't want to go
Right.
far. So I started putting. So when I left the brothel when I had some money. I went to Ikoyi one day. I was just walking out because someone mentioned casually that there are all these uncompleted houses in Ikoyi. You can just go and find one and be paying small money and leave, which is better than this
Wow.
place. And because police were excited to raid the brothels a lot more, because that wasn't the only brothel there. We had a lot of brothels in Obalende.
Yeah.
But mine was on Odo Street. So, oh, oops, well, anyway, ours was on Odo Street. So it's no longer there. So,
No
yeah.
wonder why you said mine was on. It's okay. It's okay.
Well, that's where I used to live. So
I'm telling you,
it's on Odo
that's
Street.
where
So
you used to live.
it's my house address.
If
So,
the,
and
the
then,
brothel showed up at the time you needed it, it's a part of your story. Without that
yes,
brothel, you probably wouldn't be here today. So it's where you used to live. We own it.
it's where I used to live. Don't need.
Right.
So, so they were already brothels on all over Obalende, everywhere, Aji, everywhere around two many okay, Suno, all that area. They were raiding brothels a lot. So I had to look for a place to stay. So when this person mentioned that I could get uncompleted houses in Ikoyi, I started to walk in Ikoyi, just walk around looking for where to go to. And then
Mm-hmm.
I stumbled and walked very far. I didn't even know how far I'd walked. And I stumbled on a little two girls. Her sister was making her hair and her brother was making phone calls because I'm familiar with phone calls. So I thought if there's houses around here, these people are already set up here. I can talk to them and bring my solo business here. That's the first thing that came to my
Mm.
mind. So I just walked up to them, and that's the family that God used to get me off the streets. And I spoke to them, and
Wow.
I kept saying, I just need, and the brother said to me, he said, okay, so what do you want? Like my sister, he was very protective of his sisters. So I said, oh, and I joke and said, I don't have an older brother to protect me. I have three younger brothers. And then so that's just made them very casual with me and all that. So and I saw the way the sister was cutting the others, and I said, oh, you can cut this head better if you only file the tip of your what's it
Your
called? The hair,
cutting
with
comb.
the razor.
Yeah.
And she
Huh?
was like, do you make hair? And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, yeah. So that's just, made everybody at ease. So she went
Wow.
to get razor blade. She's like, it's cutting out well, though. So I said, oh,
Wow.
I can help you make the hair. So that's how they just felt at ease with me. And I told them that, see, I live in Obali. They didn't tell them where in Obali live. And I'm looking for somewhere to just stay. And then they said, okay, come back again. There are uncompleted houses all around. We'll help you find one. So I
Wow.
kept coming back, kept coming back. They knew that I was persistent. And then this young man says to me, he said, "You always coming here. It means that you really want the place." I said, "Yes." I
Yeah.
said, "I don't have it. Just those uncompleted houses are dangerous because you can get raped." The word rape just hey in my ear.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's not safe. But there's a lady that, we can talk to, but she's not around. Well, before she comes back, somebody else said they need a hairdresser. Can you help? I said, okay, I can make all back. So the person he was supposed to introduce me to was not around. Another
Right.
person needed to make her hair.
Right.
That was separate for a different house entirely needed
Right.
hair. And I went to go and make this hair. And the first thing I did when I got her comb, I used my razor to blade it. She was like, "You're spoiling my comb." And I said, "No, in Kaduna, where I used smell, she was like, "You understand Hausa?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh, my name is XYZ. My parents are from Adama." I'm like, "Are you for it?" And then we started to speak Hausa. And it's like, "Oh, my
Wow.
dad is a general, blah, 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 blah. This is our house." I'm like, "Oh, nice." So I made her hair. She kept saying, "This hair is so lovely, all back, it's so neat. Your lines are so straight." And she's like, "Where do you live?" And I didn't hesitate. I just said, "I don't have a house. I'm looking for a house." I live in the valley. I don't have a
Wow.
house. I just said it instantly. And she said, "Oh, follow me, follow me, follow me." She now said, "My parents don't live there again. They moved to Abuja. This is a BQ, but there's empty. There's nothing inside. You can
Oh,
live there."
Jesus, Lord.
That was it. So an empty room. So I ran out to the gate, met
Oh,
that family
oh,
out
I
there.
see, without looking
And I was
back,
telling
like,
them that I have a house. I just got in, but they're wondering,
whoa,
"No, that's not who wanted to introduce you to. Who wanted to introduce you to
goodness
somebody else.
gracious.
How did you get a house?" And
All the
I remember very
incidences.
well, that guy that was making phone call, he stood up and he started running. He crossed the road without even looking. He was shocked, like he didn't believe it. And then he opened the door, was like, "The house is empty." I was like, "Yeah, so where are you going to sleep?" I said, "I don't care. I only need my school bag. My school bag is normally there. I need to get my school bag. So I'm going to have to go back to Bali tonight. I'm back tomorrow. I don't care how I sleep." And so that's how I went to
Wow.
Balinde. And so I took my school bag. I'd never take my school bag along with me. And the day I took my school bag, the woman selling this knew that something was up. And she
Oh,
kept saying, "Where did they go?" I said,
oh,
"I want to go wash." She was like, "Why you carry your bag?" I was
oh,
like, so they raid now. The police don't come raid my bag. I know what I mean, they steal my Bible. She was like, "Ah,
oh,
true. This is your Bible they carry everywhere. And so, but no one was just like, "You they come back." And I
oh.
wanted to tell her. But if I tell her, she might tell everyone and maybe they will stop me
That's
from
right.
going.
That's
So
right.
I told her that, yes, 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 I'll come back. So that's how I just left. And they
Wow.
looked for me and looked for me. And I heard
Wow.
when I came back months later that when they raided almost everywhere, the man said all the girls are gone, that they came and they raided them one night. They came in the middle of the night and raided everybody. That if I was living
Wow.
here, they would have raided me that night. So it wasn't
Wow.
even daylight, it was night raiding, 2 a.m.
Wow.
on a
Wow.
Sunday when they don't work. So somebody probably sold them out.
Wow.
So, and the woman told me that she knew I was not going to come back. And I said,
Oh.
but I came back. I told her I was going to
Ye-
come back. This is me
Yes.
coming back. So, but they were
Wow.
all not there. They took everyone. All the girls were taken to Kirikiri. I don't know what happened to them.
Wow. Wow.
But I know
Till
that
now,
one of them one of
you
them
don't
reached
know
out
what.
to me when I shared my story on Facebook once, on a blog, on an international blog, I can't remember. And then one
Right.
of them saw and sent me a message on Facebook and she described
Oh,
herself. I couldn't remember her.
oh my
And
goodness.
she kept saying, "I had this thing, this black thing in my eye." I just couldn't remember her. And she's saying that she's
Oh,
married, but one doesn't know about her past
oh,
life. That
oh, geez, I've got tears in my
that night they
eyes.
came to raid, she was not around. She went on a job because they don't work on Sundays. So she went
Right.
for a job on that
Yeah,
Sunday.
outside of
Came
the
in the
brothel.
morning, they raided everybody, and she was the only one that was left. She told me that everyone
Wow.
ended up in Kirikiri. That's what she
Wow.
said. So that
Wow.
nobody knows about her past life, that she just had a turnover after that day, and she never went
Wow.
back. And then she got
Wow.
married. I said, "Well, I'm not married." That was the time I said, "I'm not married, though." Yeah, it's good for you. So I was telling God, look at someone that did all these things. He's married.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
just but
Wow.
that's how God used those two families to get me out of
Yes, to
the
get you
job.
out
And I
there.
continue my business. She asked me, "What can you do?" I said, "Hair." So they said, "Okay, fine. You know what? We'll look for people that you can make hair from." So I make hair,
Wow.
and then I'll go to
Okay.
securities. I'll drop my phone number to security and say, "Oh, I can make hair. I live on so street in
Okay.
Ikoyi. Just call
Wow.
this number." And then
Wow.
I started to make my sobo. And then I saved money. I now bought my drinks. I started selling minerals in truck. And the trucks would
Wow.
bring Coca-Cola with me. So that's how I started to do business,
Wow. Wow.
until the government said they wanted to fix the Ikoyi road to make it dual. So most of the houses were brought down, so we couldn't sell on the road anymore. And so
Right.
because of that, I had to stop my Coca-Cola business. So I had to find a
Wow.
job. So I
Wow.
went down the hill again, but that's for another day. I don't think we
Wow.
can. I think I
Wow.
really that
So
today.
after you left the brothel and then you got into this Ikoyi, and then how many times did you write jam? And how many years after did you eventually get into University of Lagos?
I wrote jam six
Whoa,
times.
7 times, 7 years.
I wrote jam 6 times before I got into
Whoa,
school.
6 times.
Yeah.
What did you
And
feel like
all five
getting into
times,
university? Finally,
I
the
kept getting
first
admission
day.
actually. Actually, I kept getting admission. I kept getting admission to Unilag.
But what was
Same
the
Unilag.
problem? There was no finance.
No money.
Oh, wow.
No money. But I kept trying because I wanted to ensure that I was still writing the exam. So the last one was when I was already working in school. Long story again, my mom died and all that. I told you
Oh,
there's never a,
wow. Oh,
so
wow.
I had to write jam.
Did
I had
you
to write my
ever
WAEC
travel
exam.
back to Kaduna? Your brothers?
Yeah,
Did your brothers
yeah,
go back to school?
yes. When I started selling my Coca-Cola business, I had started having money. So I started sending money home. And that's how they were able to go back to school. But at the time, my family had taken everybody, was separated everyone. My uncles took one to go and work in their farms. That's another whole long story. My mom was heartbroken. She was ill because she felt like all her children had just dispersed because she couldn't, her farm wasn't really producing because she was really doing her nursery where she sells her goods and stuff. And so she was heartbroken. She was very ill for a very long time. And then she got high blood pressure. I started to have hay fever, which started to see things. And then I saw her before she passed. That was
Oh, wow.
right after before I turned 19. I think
Wow.
right before I turned 19,
You
she
traveled home?
passed. I
Okay.
turned 19 before I turned. Yes,
So
I
you
went to,
traveled home.
and she passed. Yes, she passed. She was very ill, very well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she had diabetes also,
Also, wow.
and then
Wow.
so she couldn't control the sugar and
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I was left with the boys, of course.
Right. So,
So
was there any time you brought
we're
them
going
to
to sleep here.
Lagos? Was there any time they joined you in
Yeah,
Lagos? Okay. At what
yes,
point?
they did. They did. My our last born at the point, the one that was giving birth in Kaduna, he was born. He did never met my dad per se because it was very little. My dad died. It was like one going two when my dad died, so it wasn't really met my dad. So it was about going six when my mom passed. So I had
Wow.
to bring him because he was too little. My auntie took him to Jos, didn't put him in school, so I had to go and get him in Jos. I practically stole him from my aunt. My aunt doesn't talk to me till to date because of that,
Wow.
because she felt like
Wow.
I shouldn't have taken him away. So I took him away, and nobody knew I took him away for almost 3 days. Imagine the care she
Them
thought she was
looking
giving him.
for him all over. Wow.
No, she didn't even look for him until days after. Days after, someone
Whoa.
said, we've not seen Bobby in a while. She was like, he's
Uh-uh.
not here.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was like, he has been gone for 3 days. How are you just calling me? He's with me in Lagos. She was like, how? When did you get to Jos? How did you take him? I'm like, long story. I came by night bus. I left the next morning
Wow.
because he was very
Wow.
little.
Yeah.
So they all hated me for doing that. But it was the first I took.
It's better
So
off
when I
for
brought
that.
him home, I remember bringing him to Lagos, and that night we were coming by night bus, and I held him and I was just asking God, what am I going to do with this boy? He's 6. I don't have a job. I'm going to start looking for a job. I don't even know. What was I thinking? Am I mad? I was just saying all sort of things in the bus coming home, and then I had this church member that I used to volunteer in church. Why volunteering is good? So I used to volunteer
Right.
in church, not a part of a department. My church had a foundation, and I was
Okay.
volunteering in the media department to take notes
Okay.
and to also get the news, make press releases for the news.
Right.
And so I told my HOD that I was traveling, my mom was and all that. So he kept in touch with me. In fact, he told his wife to keep in touch. So his wife kept in touch. And so that night, told her that, she called me and said, when are you coming to Lagos? I said, I'm already on my way with my younger brother. She said, how old is he? I said, he's 6. So she spoke to him on the phone. And I remember she told me that as soon as she got off the phone, the Holy Spirit said, take that boy in.
Wow.
But I didn't know that. So I landed in Lagos. I landed in Lagos at midnight. It was a Tuesday. The next morning on Wednesday, I was still asleep because we landed very late. So We took a day bus, but then we landed very late, so we came in at
Very
night,
late.
basically.
Right.
So, and by the time I came back, we arrived like 1 a.m. because of the whole
Yeah.
day bus
Yeah.
thingy. And then called me in the morning and said she was at my door, at our house, the main gate where I used to live. And then I
Yeah.
said I should get my brother ready for school. She'll wait. I said, for school, he
Whoa.
doesn't have clothes for school. Which
Whoa.
school? I didn't even know she went to school or anything.
Wow.
And then I just wore any clothes that I saw fit with him. I just took him out and went out. And then he looked at her, she looked at him, and I recognized her. Of course, she hugged me and she said, "Oh," she bent and she spoke Hausa to him, and he responded because
Whoa.
she speaks Hausa, speaks French. Um, that's my mom. So she spoke to him, and then she says, "I'm taking you to school," and I just froze. I'm like, "Which school? When?" I was just
Wow.
talking about school yesterday that I didn't know.
Wow.
She now said, "Raquel, you need to find a job." So, and I know you can't do this with him. So I will have to take him to school. Immediately the car drove. I started cramming her plate number, even though I knew her husband in church. But I was like, where are they taking my brother to? The next morning, like God just yanked him off me the next morning. Like he
The
didn't even
next
stay with me
morning
one
and
day.
the day
The
before, you
next
were holding
morning,
him, thinking in your head, what are you going to do with him? And unknown to
how am I
you,
doing?
God already sorted him out. Can you just imagine? Can you just
Yeah.
imagine? Awesome, God.
So
I know
yeah,
if we continue, we're going to be here till like tomorrow, and we won't get
tomorrow.
tired. But I need to be mindful of people's data. I
Yeah.
need to be mindful of people's data. But I know that, one question: the day you graduated from Unilag, how did you feel? I know at that time, mom had gone, dad had gone, and it was just you and your brothers. And here you are, fulfilling your father's dream, something he had always desired, and finally you've done it. How did you feel that day, graduating from Unilag?
I didn't feel anything. I didn't even go.
Are you for
I
real?
cried. I was home. I was home crying the
Wow.
entire day. My friends called and called. I wish someone was strong enough to come home to
To
my
the
house. I wish
house.
one of my friends, any of my friends listening, I wish one of you was brave enough to come get me because I think they all just felt like I was strong and they just wanted to just let me be.
Mm,
I still regret not celebrating that day because
celebrating
I
that
felt like
day.
I was just very sad. Like, what am I celebrating? The one person that I really would love to see this isn't here today. So there
Right.
was no need for it. I don't want to be near any gown. I don't want to be near any cake. I don't want to be near any celebration. And
Wow.
called, tried to get me to come out, but my friends always thought I was this strong person, and so they always want to just let me be, don't strike, because of the front I put. But I wish that one of them was bold enough to, my house wasn't far from school. I wish one of them was strong enough to, and I say that a lot, to just leave Unilag and come yank me off that house.
Right.
I would have been
Right.
utterly grateful. I would have
Right.
been utterly
Right.
grateful that I did. But I
Right.
like to say no regrets, but I still regret it. But no
I
regrets, but
understand.
I don't know. So I'm in the middle. I'm in the
Right.
middle.
Right.
And I tried to go take a picture after that. I walked into Unilag. I went to go and take a picture. And I walked into this place in school where I would take a gown. I did my makeup and I walked in and I cried the entire time and I had my makeup. I just left. I didn't take a picture.
Oh,
And the guy kept saying, Auntie, please, you don't do makeup, just stay. And I said, I
just
can't. You can't even flash a camera in my face. I can't imagine hanging a picture of my house
wow.
and my
You were
dad can't
that
see it. I don't need it.
emotional.
I don't need it. I know. And I left. I tried twice to take that whole, like picture with my cape with gown. And I never did.
Till
And
now.
I never had the courage to,
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, my daughter was 1 year old. I was recording a video. So every year, when my daughter turned a year old, we record videos for her, what we do for our children. Every time they turn a year old, we record videos so that they can watch it years after. So
Yeah.
anyone that wants to take that idea, take it.
Yes.
So I remember recording a video for my daughter when she was 1. And I mentioned something about graduating. And I just thought I could have shown her a picture, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, so I told someone that anytime I get to Lagos, if I ever get into Lagos, remind me to go to Inland and take a picture, even if I'm 50 years old.
You must. You must and you will. And by then, you have your husband, you have your daughter, and you have enough support to see you through that period. And I know,
Yeah,
looking back now, you're yeah, you still carry those memories, but it's not with so much sadness anymore. It's with gratitude in your heart. and and you're just thankful to God
No.
that you got to do this, for yourself, for your father, for your mom, and most importantly for God. And I really want to celebrate you. I know that behind everything, we can see the hand of God. It's obvious from your story, but then there was that resilience on your own part. There was that commitment. There was that, I have to do this. There was that resolution, like, I just have to do this. I must get here. I must do this. And I want to
Ambition to
celebrate
do.
that. Yes, I want to celebrate
Thank
that,
you.
in you. And I want to say, well done, well done. Your story, I believe, I've been reading comments and people are just going, wow, whoa, wow. I've gone on Facebook and everybody's just like, oh my God, and it just shows that we might not have the best of environments, the best of
Yeah.
situations, best of circumstance, but it still does not stop what God
No.
wants to do. Reading your profile, you've received multiple awards. You've been interviewed on TV, radio, you've covered magazines. It Look at where you're coming from. Look at where and this is just the beginning, because there's still a whole lot that is yet to
Yes.
unfold before you. And I'm really grateful. I love what you're doing with girls. I know you're an advocate for girls. I know you're an advocate for girls having accessible sanitary pads, right?
I'm the child.
Yeah, sanitary towels, and and all of that.
There's a
We
story
can
to
go
that.
story to that. We'll probably bring you up again
Another
another
time.
time for that. I know. When I thought of bringing you, I already registered in my heart that it had to be a part B, because now we need to understand. You're going to come back to tell us how you were able to get into all the fellowships, how you were
It's
able.
important.
It's so important
It's
how you were
important.
able to be an advocate for volunteering and then do the things that you're doing, getting all these awards, because people see where you are and they just assume you showed up looking like this. Like Raquel just showed up looking like this.
Oh,
Do you understand? And
I
some
didn't.
people they look at you and they're envious and they're like, oh my gosh, she's got it all
Why her?
together. And yeah, I must say this, you've got a wonderful husband, handsome husband.
I,
He's my brother. I know him. So
I
people
know.
look at you, you see your boo, they see your baby, and they're like, oh my God, so perfect. But they don't have a clue. That's another
No.
story I would love to hear. And I'm sure you're
Yeah,
going
I'll
to
tell
come
you.
back, because you have to
Of
tell
course.
us how you met your husband and the journey and how it has been, honestly, honestly. But
I will.
I know that your mom is smiling down on you. I know that your dad is super grateful to God that you finally made that happen. And um and and I know God has a hand in it. So it wasn't just so much about your dad. Your dad just was just the voice that God used to kind of like drum it into you, but it had always been a God idea that you will be the first to pioneer these things in your family and in your lineage. And it's such a powerful, powerful story. Anything you want to say in like 2 minutes as we draw a curtain to this interesting conversation this evening?
I like to say that, while a lot of people, why I tell a lot of people that I'm the first in my family to go past secondary school, I'm the first in my family to go be on TV or radio, travel out of the country, be on newspaper, or I'm the first female to get married before getting pregnant. And my cousins all like not one got married
Wow.
before they got pregnant. Like it's a trend, even
Wow.
those before them. And
Wow.
so my grandma came to my wedding and said, this is new, nobody has ever done this. And then
Whoa.
she died a few months after. And then
Wow. You witnessed it.
but then
Glory to
I like
God.
to say that I'm glad that I was able to bring her to Lagos to experience it. She was really
Yes.
excited to be at my
Yes.
wedding. And then but then I said this to her, like I said, that it's not enough to be the first to do all these things. You see, I am, I think it's a privilege to be the first to do all these things, but I think the most important thing is what I'm doing right now, ensuring that I'm not the only one, that there are other people like me who have the opportunity
That's right.
to also
That's right.
do things for themselves. Even if they're not the first in their families, but to actually step out. And there are people
That's
who
right.
need that opportunity. So if you're listening and God has laid in your heart to reach out to other people, there's pride in being who God has called you, but then there's also that honor in
Right.
allowing God to use you to reach out to other people. So while I said that there's a story behind my doing sanitary pads for girls, I didn't have sanitary pads when I was on the street. It was horrible.
Yeah.
I don't want to see.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing girls have it, and seeing myself having an education now. I want other kids to have it. So when you see me
That's
passionate
right.
about education, enrolling IDPs to school, it's because I know that I want them to have the opportunities that I had
That's right.
or I currently have. So
Right.
if God is laying in your heart to speak your story, speak your truth, please do the same. And if
Right.
God is laying in your heart to reach out to others, please do the
Yeah.
same.
Pay it forward.
Just bask in your glory.
That's right.
Yeah, pay it
That's right.
forward.
Pay it forward.
Reach out to
Awesome.
others.
Awesome. Awesome. I just love you, Raquel, and thank you so much for doing this with me today and just
Thank you for having
sharing of yourself. Thank you so much for not holding back. Someone said it's quite remarkable how she remembers every single detail. Yes.
I journal.
Awesome. Awesome.
I
Awesome.
journal crazy, crazy.
Awesome. That's awesome. And your story would present to you more platforms because a lot more people need to hear this. Not for the fame. The fame will come with it, but that's not it. It's for the purpose. And like we said, we pay it forward. And God will continue to empower you to do a lot more. And God will continue to open more doors for you to be able to, do much more than what you're doing right now for those girls and those that you have access to. And I believe that you've also had opportunity to go back, to say thank you to all those people who were at some point in your life being seller woman, and all of
Yeah.
them. It's just so amazing, so remarkable. And thank you so much, Raquel. It was so lovely having you on Conversations with Pimo. But just know that you will be
Thank
back
you for having me.
sometime soon to give us the part B and possibly the part C of this story. Thank you
Okay,
so much. Thank you
we'll
so
do this.
much. Love to your
Thank
family.
you.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
I
you.
will. I will. I will. Bye bye.
Bye. Wow, that was I don't know how to describe that, but that was just amazing. It's funny that I've heard this story before, but hearing it again, I'm like, awesome God, awesome God. And I think one thing I'm taking away is that you might not be my Raquel in this story. You might be the bean seller woman. You might be that lady that gave her the BQ. You might be positioned somewhere that God, might be that woman that took her brother and put him in school. You might be that person that loaned her 20,000. You might be any of these people. So listening to Raquel, you might not really fit into Raquel's story. That might not be why you were part of this conversation today. You might just be any of those people that got positioned in her life. And I pray that you are sensitive, when such opportunities come. I can imagine those people looking back today and they're feeling so proud, so grateful, so thankful that they were able to do the little. You can be that lady also at the brothel that stood up for her. I don't know, you can just be that person that God will position, to bring light, a beam of light, beam the beacon light of hope to a number of people that are going through life, this way. And I pray that you're sensitive to that. Thank you so much for joining me. I know we've done an hour, 30 minutes, but I trust that it was worth every second of your time. If you really have a compelling story or you feel like people need to hear your story, not just for hearing sake, please feel free to send me a mail or send me an inbox. I'll be more than glad to have you on Conversations with Pimo. Like I said, what's your story is going to run for the next month and possibly the next month. So please feel free, send me a mail, and I would really love to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining me. God bless you till I come your way again next week. Next week, Tuesday, like clockwork, 7 p.m. I love you and stay blessed. Bye.